Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Code Wars with Jerry, aka the coding musician, and in this particular episode we'll be working on 5 different very simple beginner code wars, beginner kata in Java, and we'll be using Java version 17. You can decide to select version 8, 11 or 17. I'll be using 17 because that's the latest version, and also because this is the version I'll be teaching in the Java series for beginners, which you can also find on my channel. I'll leave the link below this particular video. Alright, let's dive straight in. The first one we'll be touching today is a level 8 KYU return negative, and let's see how we perform on this. Alright, so let me take out the comment. I will actually put a comment. So let's take a look at the question. The instruction says, in this simple assignment you are given a number and have to make it negative, but maybe the number is already negative. Who knows? We don't know. So if the number is already negative, I believe the next thing to do will be to return the negative. Let's take a look at the notes. Here are some examples. If the number given is 1, return -1. If the number given is -5, return -5. And if the number is 0, we are to return 0. Okay. Alright, so that is 3 different conditions to look at. Okay, and then the note says the number can be negative already, in which case no change is required. 0 is not checked for any specific sign. Negative zeros make no mathematical sense. Okay, so we're gonna leave it at 2 different conditions. Awesome, that helps. -0 makes no mathematical sense, so we're going to be working with that. So in this scenario, my approach will be to check if the number is a positive number. If it's greater than 0, then we'll make it negative, but if the number is already negative, then we return the number as is. We don't have to check for 0 because it automatically returns 0 anyway. I'll be talking and walking you through my thought process. Let's start with an if statement, and we'll say if x is greater than 0, we'll go down next line and return negative plus x, else return x. That's all we need to do. The point here is we don't have to check for the number 0 because it's going to return 0 anyway. 0 is -0 makes no mathematical sense, so therefore we just need to check for positive or negative numbers. The combination of the negative number plus x converts that number in line 7, converts it to a negative number, and then we say else return x. It's as simple as that. So let's attempt it and see. Awesome, we passed all 7 attempts, so let's test. Yay, and we passed. So let's submit this. That's all we needed to do for that particular question. Alright, now let's select the next practice question. Okay, so this is the second problem we'll be working on. It's a level 8 basic problem, and it says, is n divisible by x and y? Let's read the instruction. Create a function that checks if a number n is divisible by 2 numbers x and y. All inputs are positive, non-zero digits. Awesome. So see the examples. That looks good. So in a situation like this, that we have 3 parameters, we have the n, x and y. I think a good approach to use will be to use a return statement, which simply means a one-line code, and then we'll be making use of the modulus operator and the double end operator, which will help confirm the equation for the x and the equation for the y to make sure that both of them equates to true, and then it returns the value. So we'll start by putting in the return statement, and we'll say return n modulo x if it's equals to 0, and then you have the double and sign, and n modulo y equals 0. So if both equations, that is n modulo x is equals to 0 and n modulo y is equal to 0, then it returns true. But if both of them are not true, then it returns false. That's all we need to do in this case. All right, so let's attempt. Awesome, passed all 11, failed 0. So let's test it. Excellent, so it passed. Time to submit, and then we'll take a look at the third question we want to work on today. All right, so the next problem we're going to be tackling today is the one called sum arrays. And the question says, write a function that takes an array of numbers and return the sum of the numbers. Okay, a function that takes an array of numbers and return the sum of the numbers. So we're simply doing an addition here, but it involves an array of numbers. The numbers can be negative or non-integers, so which means we can have some negative numbers or decimal place numbers. If the array does not contain any numbers, then you should return 0. So for a problem like this, a good a well-optimized method, there are a variety of ways you can do this, but a good one will be to utilize the arrays.stream.sum. Yeah, so we'll be combining two methods in just one line. Okay, we'll be combining two methods in one line. So we'll be using a method called array.stream, which simply just it lines up, or it simply streams or write out all in better words, it prints out all the numbers within an array. Okay, so after printing them all out in one file, the next thing will be to sum it up. So we'll call the .sum method, which is also an inbuilt Java method. So let's see how it goes. Okay, I'll delete the 0.0. I'll keep the return statement here. So we're going to have return arrays.stream, and then in bracket you open brackets and put numbers there, stream numbers. Then the last thing you need to do here is to call the sum method, and you're good to go. That's it. So we're calling two methods here. Array.stream, what are we streaming? We are streaming all the numbers, and then we are summing it up. So even if the numbers is empty, then it will just sum it up and give us 0 as the final answer. So that takes care of the part of the instruction that says to return 0 if the array does not contain any numbers. All right, so let me put a statement. overload. So let's attempt this. So it looks like we're missing something here. Variable arrays, class some array. So we're missing the class of arrays. So in this case, that will be java.util.arrays. I know it's kind of intuitive for me right now because I've done this before, but for you who is just starting out, when you're working in a main IDE such as IntelliJ, it really helps you to import classes faster and easily, so you'll get to learn them and you know what needs to be done with time. So let's get our import statement in there. Import java.util.arrays. all right, let's try attempting it again. Awesome, it passed. Good job. You may take your time to refactor or comment your solutions. Submit when ready. Well, I guess a good comment will be, remember to import the java.util.arrays class before running the code. So let's get this submitted, and awesome. So let's move to the next. So let's attempt this. Will there be enough space? We're checking it to see if there are enough space. So this is a story. Let's see. Bob is working as a bus driver. However, he has become extremely popular amongst the city's residents. With so many passengers wanting to get aboard his bus, he sometimes has to face the problem of not enough space left on the bus. He wants you to write a simple program telling him if he will be able to fit all the passengers. We need to write a function that accepts three parameters. That accepts the cap, that's the amount of people the bus can hold, excluding the driver, and also on, that is the number of people on the bus excluding the driver. Then wait is the number of people waiting to get on the bus excluding the driver. If there is enough space, return 0, and if there isn't, return the number of passengers he can't take. That's interesting. And here are the usage examples. If the cap is 10, the number of people on the bus is 5, then the bus has to wait for 5 more. He can fit all 5 passengers. Okay? All right, let's dig in. So we're going to be utilizing the math.max method. All right, so let me write that down. Utilize the math.max method. That's what we'll be using. And like I said earlier on, it's going to be just a one-line statement. But first of all, we'll have to factor in the return of 0. The task overview says if there is enough space, return 0. If there isn't, return the number of passengers he can't take. So starting with our return statement, return math.max. So trying to find the maximum number that's available, and then we'll put in the 0, which is expected to be returned if there is enough space. And if there is not enough space, then what's the number of people we're asking to wait? So you said wait minus cap. All right, so you remove the cap. That's the total amount of people the bus can hold from the number of people that have to wait. Okay, number of people waiting to get on the bus excluding the driver. and that's all we need to do. So let's test our code and see. Okay, so we're missing something here. Let's go back to the instruction. I think I know what's happening. All right, so we missed one parameter, the on parameter. On is the number of people on the bus excluding the driver. So we're supposed to add the on, which is the number of people on the bus excluding the driver, add it to the weight, okay, and then minus it from the cap to give us the exact number of people that he can't take. Okay, so over here we'll need to have our on, add it to the weight, the number of people expected to wait, and then minus it from the cap. That's the total number of people that the bus can hold excluding the driver. All right, let's test it again. Awesome, it passed. Attempt. Cool, let's submit. Okay, the last problem we'll be working on today is called counting sheep, and it says consider an array or an array list of sheep where some sheep may be missing from their place. We need a function that counts the number of sheep present in the array. True means present. Okay, so we're dealing with Boolean here. For example, that's the example. There are true, there are false. Okay, don't forget to check for bad values like null or undefined. So this sounds like an if statement problem. To do, may the force be with you. So in this case we'll be using two different loops. We'll be using a for loop and an if statement. Okay, this is an interesting one. So in this case we'll begin with a counter which will take the type of an integer to count the number of sheep present in the array. So counter equals 0, and then we'll start with a for loop for Boolean present in array of sheeps. Okay, so we open a curly braces over here. This will now have a nested if statement. So we'll say if present is not equals to null and is present. Okay, this is where our counter gets to count. All right, this is where our counter gets to count. All right, so we'll say counter. So we'll say counter plus equals 0. All right, and then go to the second curly brackets, and we'll have a return statement to return the counter. This is all we need to do in this case. So let's test our code. Okay, it looks like we are missing something. Let's take a look and see what are we missing. There are 17 sheep in total, except 17 but was 0. Okay, oh yeah, I see what's going on here. So in a situation like this, it simply means when our for loop runs the very first time, the counter increases by 1. So this counter at the initial stage, At the point of initialization, it is 0, but the moment the for loops, we enter the for loop and it begins to move, whether it's present or not, whether it is null, the counter increases. Okay, that's where, because we're talking about Boolean, the counter increases and it gets to count both the present and the absent. If it's present, it counts 1 and it prints out present, and if it's absent, it counts 1 and it prints out false. Okay, all right, so I believe that's the error that we're having. Awesome, that looks good. So let's attempt. Hopefully it passes. Yay, there we go, we have it past the 3, so time to submit. All right guys, thank you very much for hanging out with me today in this training. I look forward to seeing you next time. We'll be treating another set of 5 questions similar to this. We'll be taking it one step at a time and see how far we can go. Once again, if you are new to the channel, please remember to subscribe, hit the notification bell to stay informed of subsequent videos. We upload video on this channel every Monday and Thursday. Thank you very much. Please leave a comment below and let me know what you think. Let me know what level you're working on, what katas you've solved in the past, and probably what you will want me to work on for subsequent episodes. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye.